can see.
Okay, okay, thank you. So whenever the screen disappears,
can see it.
Okay, you can always let me know. Thank you very much for all the shout out. So the facilitators for this training, it's the University of Zambia, the School of Agricultural Sciences. It was there already in the course where we were describing the courses that we are offering. Now people are being admitted. I don't know how I'm going to do this. So it's the University of Zambia School of Agricultural Sciences, Department of Animal Science. So we've put up a number of short courses that we want to disseminate to the public. There's another one which is coming. I think you should just look out for it. The whole essence is we know that University of Zambia is involved in training, and the other thing is also in research. We want to start also disseminating those research findings. Whatever we've been doing in the university, if we keep knowledge to ourselves, then we are not doing anything. The knowledge that we produce there at the University of Zambia, the knowledge that we teach, the research that we do, we want to keep in touch with the community so that the communities also benefit from that knowledge. So we are very happy that actually you found time to attend this short course, and we hope we'll continue doing so in future. So this course is Principles of Feeding Pigs. It's going to run from, quite all right, it started last week with the discussions that we've been going through. And the facilitators, one of them is me, Mfungwe Mnalula. I'm a lecturer there in the Department of Animal Science. The courses that I teach are pig production, animal health, anatomy and physiology of farm animals, principles of animal nutrition. I joined the university in 2016, but before that I worked for Zambia National Service for a period of 12 years where I was a veterinarian there. I was trained at the University of Zambia in the School of Veterinary Medicine, and I went to work in the Zambia National Service as a veterinary officer. So within the Zambia National Service, that's when now I decided to go for master's, and I later obtained a PhD in animal production and nutrition. So after working for 12 years, I decided to go on early retirement, and I joined the University of Zambia, where I have been teaching up to today. So that's my brief introduction about me, who is one of the facilitators. The other facilitator who's going to also take some sessions is Cholwe Simafuta. Mr. Cholwe Simafuta is a training officer at the Natural Resource Development College, which we all know to be called NRDC. He joined NRDC, I think is about just a year old or less than a year old, somewhere there. But before that, he's still working as an animal nutritionist under Nimba Feeds, and he also worked for 2 years at the livestock services there, where he was working as a nutritionist. So this one is a seasoned nutritionist, so he's the one who can really help you beyond this training. After the training, he can work as a consultant. You can consult him on a lot of issues that deal with nutrition of pigs. Will come in handy. So we've given him some sessions where he's going to talk about feeding pigs, especially home, preparing those cheaper formulations for pigs, especially if you're resource limited, you don't have a lot of resources. Will come in handy. He's been working as a consultant and is doing very well in the field. So he'll come in tomorrow to do his session. The other facilitator we have is Dr. Simon Holick. He's a veterinarian and is a director of VVS. VVS is a company that is in Zambia and is going to give a brief introduction of what they do, but basically they are in Zambia, they sell premixes, they sell all these supplements that are used in pig production. So I think that's just about briefly what Dr. Simon Holick is, but he'll come and give some sessions, some talks. He is also in charge of some farms. They own some farms here in Zambia, and I think he comes in handy with his experience in pig farming and everything. And I must mention also that after the training on Saturday, there is a training session, a hands-on training session, which we're going to have at the University of Zambia, but not at the main campus, but where we have our training center, just near Chongwe Road, just opposite ZNS, where there is a feed company there. We'll give you the directions. I'll post the link so that you're able to follow. So on Saturday, please, we are encouraging you to come and see how to properly mix the feed, or is it to formulate the feed, the ingredients. So Dr. Simon has been kind enough to come with his own ingredients so that he shows the farmers exactly how to formulate or mix those feeds properly so that the animals can be benefiting. I can see a hand from Kapika. Janet, you want to say something? Hello? Hello? Or it's just a mistake? So are you able to hear me still? Hello, people. Hello? Hello, are you able to hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Yes, we can.
Okay, I was seeing the hand. I was thinking maybe I've dropped off. Okay, so we start now. What is the importance of nutrition in pig production? So now, to answer this question, I think you're all familiar. If you're farmers, this I've put up just a diagram to show the stages, the different stages of pig production. The first one there is showing farrowing. You have a pig that farrows. After farrowing, it stays with the young one. This is a lactating sow. It will stay with the young ones maybe 5 to 6 weeks, depending on your management, when you decide to wean those pigs. It will wean the pigs, and those are called weaners. Immediately after weaning, it takes 5 to 7 days. If nutrition is okay, this female animal, immediately after weaning, within 5 to 7 days, it's supposed to come back on heat. And immediately you're supposed to service that female animal. After servicing, you made it quite all right. It will stay pregnant for 16 weeks. We already know the gestation period of pigs, which is 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days. People already know this they can already cite it. It's basically 16 weeks. And immediately after 16 weeks, it will farrow. So this is basically, and then the cycle continues just like that. Farrowing, again, it will stay 5 to 6 weeks, just like that. Now, the piglets that are weaned here, you should know this. If you're a serious pig farmer, you have to know this cycle very well. You wean the piglets, and then on the next stage here, you can decide now when to sell them off. But you have to mark these weeks. After 16 to 18 weeks, it's supposed to be at least 40 to 50 kg. 18 to 24 weeks is supposed to attain about 50 to 80 kg. Then 24 to 28 weeks is supposed to be about 105 kg, somewhere there, depending on your management. And the standard age at which you breed your females, it should be about 7 to 8 months of age. And that time they should be weighing about 90 kg. Why am I mentioning this? Because for you to achieve these standards, nutrition is very important. When nutrition is not good at the farm, you find that everything here is now disturbed. You find that now when you wean this female animal, instead of 5 to 7 days, within 5 to 7 days coming on heat, you find that actually it will extend. The first heat will be missed. And once you miss the heat period in a female animal, you have to wait another 21 days. Waiting another 21 days has got implications. It means you have to feed this animal for 21 days, and basically for feeding an adult female, it's about 2 kg per day. You basically spend maybe 50 kg to feed this animal before it comes back to heat. So it means you're spending more money, more resources now in feeding this animal. So already, this is already disturbed. When it comes also to farrowing, you find that actually the genetic potential of this pig, maybe it can give you 16 piglets normally when the feed is okay. But when it's poor, you find that even the numbers are reduced. The litter size is reduced. The piglets, they are smaller in size. So feeding has got implications on every stage of this cycle that we've mentioned here. You look at when you wean the animals, it will take longer than 18 weeks to reach maybe 50 kg. The market stage is also affected. It means you take longer. You feed the pigs more before they reach that market weight. So every stage of this cycle is disturbed. So this shows how important nutrition is in pig farming. So we have to take care when we are talking about nutrition in pigs. And that is one of the most important factors that determines whether you're going to be profitable or not. And again, the impact of this nutrition, we already know. For an animal to be to prevent diseases, it has to be properly fed. And a healthy animal is an immune animal. the animal that is not healthy, it is so prone to so many diseases. Anything that comes in the environment is able to get it. So it also already emphasizes the importance of nutrition. An animal that is already immunized is able to prevent a lot of diseases. So that already shows that nutrition is very important in pigs. So now what are we talking about? When we look at pigs, what are they? These are omnivorous animals. When we hear the term omnivore, it means this is an animal that is able to eat a wide range of feeds. But again, it's a monogastric animal. Monogastric animal is just like now a human being that has got a simple stomach, and it has to eat feed that is, at least in a way, it has to be proper. It has to be nutritious. It's not able to handle some of the things like fiber in feed. So being classed as a monogastric animal somehow is a disadvantage, because monogastric animals, naturally, they compete with a human being in terms of feed ingredients. You find that soybeans, maize, this is what human beings eat. So it means they already create competition. So the price tends to be high because we are sharing the same feed resources. Unlike when you go to cattle, the main resource is grass. So feeding pigs, you really have to be very economical. You really have to be careful. You have to know what you are giving the pig. And just like any farm animal, pigs need a balanced diet. We are going to talk about this balanced diet. And feeding is the biggest expenditure that really happens on the farm. 80% of the money are going to spend it in feeding. That's why people now opt to use cheaper resources, because they tend to think pigs now, they tend to get a lot of resources. It's expensive to keep pigs because feeding should be it gets 80% of the resources, and you really have to know how to manage those resources. And in a nutshell, usually pigs, depending on the breed that you're keeping, it will take about 3 to 6 kg of feed to produce 1 kg of live weight. And when you're keeping pigs, you have to try by all means to make the figure as small as possible. We are going to talk about what implication this has. The bigger the number, the more resources you're spending, the more money you're spending. It means you're giving it more feed, but it's gaining less weight. And we're going to look at the factors that determine what we call the feed conversion ratio. So in terms of nutritional requirements of pigs, what is a balanced diet? A balanced diet is one which has got all the requirements that are needed now in the feed: proteins, carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, and also water is very important to pigs. I hope you are all following. I don't want to lose you. So in pigs, we have to make sure that we are not overfeeding, we are not underfeeding. It's very important. Underfeeding is very bad because it means you're reducing the performance of the animals, and the carcass quality is also affected. When you're overfeeding, it means you're just wasting that feed. So you have to be very economical in feeding. You have to know what to give the feed and when to give the pigs the feed, and at how much you're giving it. Otherwise, both overfeeding and underfeeding are not very good in pig production. So we'll now look at the different nutrients that are needed that make up this balanced ration. So each ration that you give the animal itself should have proteins, it should have energy, it should have vitamins, minerals, and for the animal to perform well. So performance is only affected by this. If you want to have good performance, the diet has to be balanced as much as possible. So I'm still admitting people, and I hope next time will be early. So proteins, we already know what protein is. So these are the ones that are needed for tissue formation. So that growth that we want in a pig, it's actually because of the proteins that we give the animals. So the role of protein in the body is just for tissue formation or muscle formation, or the meat that we eat. It comes from the protein. So there are so many protein sources that we have in Zambia. They can either be plant or animal-based. So if you look at the next slide here, it's showing the plant-based sources that we have in Zambia, which is soybeans, sunflower cake, groundnut meal, cottonseed cake, and the legumes, any beans or lentils, cowpeas. The most commonly one that we use is soybeans in these pig diets. Then the animal-based fish meal, metered bone meal, blood meal, insect meal. So they are, in some countries, they're actually developing this sector very well, like insects now, because it's the high protein, like black soldier fly larvae. They are trying to harvest them, improve the harvesting of these larvae so that they can be a source of feed, because we already know that these plant-based sources are very expensive, like soybeans. So there's a lot of research, even in Zambia, that we are doing on black soldier fly larvae, how to increase production so that they are used as alternatives to these expensive protein sources that are on the market. So proteins, if they get into the body of the animal, they go in the digestive system, they are broken down into smaller units, which we call amino acids. So amino acids are just the building blocks of protein. These are the ones that make up the protein, or what we call the meat. And naturally, there are about 20 different amino acids that happen. And they are also classified into two. We've got what we call the essential amino acids and the non-essential amino acids. So in pigs, we have to know that the pig is able to make its own non-essential amino acids in the body, in its own body. But there are some amino acids that cannot be produced in the body of an animal. And these ones have to be supplied in the diet. So the common ones that have to be supplied if someone is formulating feed on the farm is lysine and methionine. So each time you're formulating your own rations, you put maize, you put maybe soybeans. If you forget to put these amino acids, which are not produced in the body of an animal, the animal will not grow well. You find that the growth performance is lower, because lysine actually is considered what we call a limiting amino acid. If there is not enough lysine in the diet of an animal, even the protein synthesis, it means the way it produces muscle, it won't grow as fast as it's supposed to be. No matter how many of those ingredients you put in that feed, it will not grow as fast. This is what determines the growth rate of an animal. It's called the limiting amino acids. The other amino acids will not combine properly to form that muscle protein. So this is what you should take note of, even if you're not formulating feed on the farm. But when you start thinking of going that direction, there are some amino acids that the body cannot produce, and they have to be supplied in the diet themselves. Then briefly, we look at carbohydrates. So these are needed for maintenance and energy. The animal needs energy to do all its activities, whether it's eating, digestion, even maintaining the body at that normal temperature, the warm temperature, it needs carbohydrates. So that's the role of the carbohydrates in the body. And also for bodybuilding, the animal, for it to build that muscle, the process itself needs energy. So the diet has to be as balanced as possible. It should have all the categories of feed. So the carbohydrates are used for energy. They are used also for maintenance. Maintenance, when you say the animal is on maintenance diet, it means it's not losing weight, it's not gaining, it's just static. So there's a state when you just want an animal to be in maintenance, like a sow which has just given birth. You don't want it to lose weight or to gain, because again, gaining too much weight, it affects also performance of an animal. So these are the carbohydrates. They are used for such, in a nutshell. And we tend to have also a number of carbohydrate sources in Zambia. We've got maize, wheat, barley, oats, rice, cassava. All these are categories of carbohydrates, but the most commonly used is maize. I don't know if these other crops are grown in large quantities. So this is the biggest limitation that we have in our industry. We are always competing for maize. Human beings want maize. Animals, monogastric animals, chickens and pigs, these are the ones who are hit most when there is a drought like we are experiencing in this year. The maize prices have gone up. And if you look at how many people are growing sorghum barleys, you find that it's actually a smaller number. So the limitations are also affecting the sector very much. Then carbohydrates, you can also have the brands. When you process these carbohydrates, what the outer coat is what we call the bran. There's also a category of carbohydrate, but the part which is what we call the structural carbohydrate, so you cannot digest it. We already mentioned that pigs already are limited in the way they digest. They cannot handle a high amount of fiber in their diet. And these brands, when you use maize bran, we've seen the quality of number 3 meal on the market. People tend to overdilute it with bran. So what happens is the digestibility is affected. They cannot handle a big amount of fiber in their diets. So since we're talking about brands, fiber is also important in the diet of an animal, because this is the one which helps now the gut to move, the peristalsis, for the food to be taken down the alimentary system, it's the fiber.